In today's video, we'll talk about the origins of a Nashville Tele, what makes these guitars different from regular Teles, and whether or not this modification would be right for you.
Is 1980, and a guitar builder from Nashville, Tennessee is about to revolutionize the Telecaster.
Okay, so that might be a bit of an exaggeration, but I did want to talk today about what has become known as the Nashville Telecaster, which is a stock Telecaster, but with the obvious addition of this middle pickup here. As soon as Leo Fender released the Telecaster in the early 1950s, guitarists would start tweaking it and modifying it to suit their needs. A few years later, he released the Stratocaster, which obviously had the 3 pickup configuration instead of the 2 that was coming stock on the Tele. And it wouldn't be long after that before guitarists started interchanging and mixing and matching those pickups to try to get different tonal possibilities. But it wouldn't be until 30 years later in Nashville, Tennessee, when a guitar builder named Joe Glaser started building Telecasters that came stock with that middle position. And it wouldn't be until this point that this mod started to become more commonplace amongst guitar players and amongst fans of the Telecaster. So the man who was most responsible for making the Nashville Telecaster famous would probably have to be Brent Mason. Now Brent Mason is a session guitarist who he's played in Nashville for decades, and he was kind of just coming on the scene in the 80s when this guy Joe Glaser, who I was talking about, was building these guitars. And Brent was looking to kind of modify his stock Tele that he had, and he wanted it to be able to give him a few more options in the studio than just what the regular sounds he was getting. So he had Joe install a strat pickup in the middle position on his Tele like we talked about. And on Brent's guitar, he actually had him change out this neck pickup for a mini humbucker. And this obviously allowed Brent to get a wide variety of tones out of his guitar that he would have otherwise been incapable of getting on just a regular stock Tele. So by the time that Brent actually approached Joe and asked him to put the Strat pickup in his Telecaster, Joe had already been building these guitars for a little bit. He had been making them kind of custom builds for different players around Nashville. And when he first started messing around with adding a middle pickup, he actually built kind of a prototype Telecaster where he could slide the middle position pickup up and down to really get what he thought would be the perfect spot in between these 2 pickups. Probably the most famous Stratocaster specific sound that you don't associate with a Tele would be what guys consider the out of phase position when you're in position either 2 and 4, which is when you have either your neck and your middle position together or your middle and your bridge position together. And while on a typical Strat, these are not actually wired out of phase, they do, just from their proximity together, kind of have a little bit of that noise canceling, or not noise canceling, but like frequency canceling properties, just the way that the magnets are positioned. So one of the things that adding this middle pickup does is it gives us that option to get those sounds on a Telecaster. So let's just go through and listen to how this thing sounds. I'm going to start on the neck position, and then I'll just work through all the positions. I'm just going clean straight into a Princeton amplifier, miking it with the SM57. No effects pre or post other than just that tiny bit of reverb on the amp. So now we'll do neck and middle position together. So this is going to give us kind of that slight quack that we associate with the Stratocaster sound. So now we'll move on to just the middle position. Now we have middle and the bridge position. And then finally the classic Tele sound, just the bridge pickup here. So something to think about when these guitars are modded, if you think about just how a stock Telecaster is, it just has a three-way switch, and that middle position on the switch is just going to combine your neck pickup and your bridge pickup. But on a standard five-way selector, like what we would have on a common Strat, there's no option to isolate just the two outside pickups, right? You can play each three individually, or you can mix these two and these two, but never just these two. So in order to keep that classic Tele sound of having the neck and the bridge still matched together, I've included what is a push-pull pot here on my tone selector, which brings in the neck pickup. So if I have this pulled out, the neck pickup is now engaged. So what makes that cool, or what's cool about that is now this pickup selector switch is just picking up this one, but since I've engaged the neck pickup, this position with the push-pull pot will now give me this sound. And another interesting thing to think about is if I go to this position, which would normally just give me these two pickups, I have my push-pull pot pulled now, so it's these two, and it just added in this pickup. So I actually can get all three sounds. So I'll go through really quickly and play what those sound like for you as well, just so you can see how those fit in. And then, like I was talking, if we go to this position, which would normally just be giving me these two pickups, the push-pull pot has also engaged this. So now I have all three pickups being active right now. So there's a certain elegance, a certain, I guess, beauty to just the simplicity of a two pickup Telecaster. So this mod where you're adding that middle position, it certainly isn't for everyone. Obviously, it kind of muddies the waters when it comes to how simple the Telecaster was designed. It gives you a lot more options. You can get option overload in a sense, which isn't always a good thing. So this mod isn't always for everyone. And another thing to keep in mind if you're going to try to take this on yourself is a stock Telecaster, the pickups are wound and installed in a very specific way, so that when you are in the middle position, when you blend the two, they're obviously in phase, but they hum cancel when you're in that middle position. So if you were just to route out a hole in the middle of your Telecaster and just add any Strat middle position pickup in there, you might run into some phase and some hum issues depending on how the polarity and the winding is on all your three pickups. So if that at all sounds confusing or sounds a little bit daunting, then this might not be something that you want to try to modify on your own. It might be something that you take to a shop and have kind of a professional work on, or at least look at it and make sure that you're going to set it up the right way. Another reason people might choose to not modify their Teles is when you add this middle position pickup, it will have a slight impact on how the neck, or this is the neck, not this, how the neck pickup and how the bridge pickup sound, even when you only have this pickup selected or this pickup selected. So just due to the proximity of adding more magnets, basically this close to either pickup, it will have just a slight effect on the tone. The difference is going to be very subtle, but just be aware that it might indeed have some impact on how your Tele sounds. If you're used to it sounding a certain way and you throw that middle position pickup in there, it might subtly change how these are going to sound. If you just like the simplicity of just a stock 2 pickup Tele, then more power to you. Stick with that. So hopefully this video gave you a little bit of insight into what the Nashville Telecaster is all about. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sticking around to the end. Hope you enjoyed it. We will see you all in the next video. Cheers.